Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Jack, Conrad, this is the 45. We are here with a brief recap of week one, as well as looking at a few matches heading into week two. If you missed the first week predictions, that's because there weren't any. We're a little slow starting the season, but that's okay. Without further ado, Arsenal and City. The highlight of the weekend to see how a new Arsenal manager could cope with the defending champions at home against City, and it did not fare well for Arsenal at all.
At all. I mean, expected. I think that the thing that I saw mostly from Arsenal fans, which is some of their biggest critics, in all honesty, they were open to the fact that Emery, he's beginning his tenure at Arsenal. He's just starting to get used to the players. As we're going to see, they still have a lot of question marks about selection. And, I mean, this is a City team that they just roll over everybody they play. And it wasn't going to be a surprise that they won this game individually. I don't think it shows much about either team.
They've only had to really deal with a new Mahrez, and, it's the same squad that played phenomenal last year. So, and Emery, new to the league, new to the squad, just they really didn't have a shot. This from BBC Live Sport, Chris Sutton saying, 30 minutes in, same old Arsenal. So a lot of people were not impressed in the early going, but it's way too early to draw conclusions. But of course, we're going to draw conclusions because they couldn't do anything at all offensively.
No. It was, I mean,
anemic at best.
It was against City, I mean, and now we're seeing everybody, it's going bad. And as we're going to mention it also later, they had possibly the worst schedule for a new manager to go into.
Their first
City,
two
Chelsea,
games are brutal.
That's tough. I mean, City and home or away, and then Chelsea,
and then anybody. But never mind Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea have their own challenges, but that's a tough. And Arsene Wenger not picking up the phone.
Yeah.
Second game we're going to look at from week one features the other likely title contender. So say everybody that's smarter than us about proper football. Liverpool and West Ham. West Ham, a side that everybody expects big things from, probably a little bit too early to expect a lot of things. I don't know how to feel about this moment. It was a nice moment for what Salah did, but you can't really tolerate pitch invaders. And this kid got a lot of pub, which is exactly why they don't usually show these things on television. But a nice moment nonetheless.
I think it just shows Salah's just a great guy. Yeah. I mean, it's great whenever you see a player be great on the field and great off the field. Yeah. And I mean, of course, kids breaking rules and stuff, but...
I'm wearing your Liverpool jersey. I'm wearing my Wolves jersey. What do you think they're talking about here?
Get off the field, kid.
Like, you're never going to... Dude, you're going straight to jail. Just a touch offside.
This was for Mane's second. I mean, Mane played well.
He did.
Didn't deserve a second goal.
The turn on this and the fire was fantastic.
But he's almost in a different time zone.
And you can see where the field referee is. The side judge, I don't know where he is, but...
Up top.
I mean, it's not really all that close. You have three players offside.
And if you're the official on the sideline, I don't look at the foot. I look at the upper body. I believe that's Felipe Anderson.
Everything is offside.
He's almost this way. You look at that. That's a solid distance.
3-4 feet.
And they call much finer margins. It was big. In the end of the day, Liverpool were going to win regardless. But
it was a terrible call.
It was a terrible call.
That's again, everybody crying for VAR. I don't know if that's the case. 6 months for Liverpool at home without a goal.
6 games.
6 matches.
I mean, it does show that they have more confidence in the defense, that you're able to look at this and say, well, now you have Virgil van Dijk, you have your now second most expensive keeper in the world. They have more confidence in the back line.
Absolutely.
And that's what's changed. It used to be a question of, and what I saw when I watched the West Ham-Liverpool game was the crowd at least didn't feel anxious whenever Liverpool would have the ball. When Alisson would have the ball at his feet, there wasn't a sense of everyone...
amazing distribution.
And especially after Karius, a lot of Liverpool fans have PTSD from him throwing it in Benzema's feet to open the scoring in the Champions League final.
It's not. I mean, you don't sense the same dread every time Liverpool take a corner or are defending a corner at home, where you just figure they're going to concede, and you just don't.
And that's what changed from spending all that money.
Sturridge coming on, and then 15 seconds later getting a goal. Good feeling for him. Would be good to see him getting back into the England side somehow. But by the time World Cup comes around, he'll probably be a little bit too old. But it's just a great story. If he can return to any form of quality,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna offer them a lot as a backup to Firmino and just a great utility player for them. So after two matches,
Or
after one match, 2 games we covered, let's overreact. And
I'm
I'm not saying we're gonna overreact.
I believe these are both photoshopped, but the idea remains the same. It's also it shows a culture around Arsenal. I think is that
That's pretty damn good Photoshop. I suspect that actually might be a real thing.
it's entirely possible, but they're making Arsenal fan TV photos because this is Arsenal TV's main guy. But it just shows a culture that there's a lot of question marks around Arsenal as a team, and you wonder after Wenger, it just shows that they held on too long, and now the fans are almost against the club at this point. They don't think they're making the right decisions. You look at the idea that I saw Stan Kroenke bought the entire club a couple weeks ago, or is trying to get 100% of the club ownership. Fans aren't happy with that because they're saying,
I'm not crazy about him as an owner.
as an owner, he's not going to invest enough. And so there's just a lot of question marks about the club, and if they're not, these are Photoshop potentially, but if they're not able to get behind the manager, there's going to be question marks starting his tenure.
Hype machine is all over Liverpool right now. One match, 4-0 against, again, West Ham, but...
And again, West Ham, in both kind of discrediting Liverpool and giving a bit more credit to West Ham, they had 5 new signings, I believe, feature in the game. So you're always going to have a question marks about gelling and trying to get that to work. Maybe they threw a little too much change in the first game against a very talented team in Liverpool. They showed some things, but in the end of the day, Liverpool controlled, and that's what a lot of people expected. I think the big thing I saw was Naby Keita looked worth the money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's fast.
Mm-hmm.
He's decisive. His passing unlocked a lot of those attacking plays for Liverpool. I mean, he was all around. He was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
That is real footage, by the way, of Pep Guardiola's reaction.
This is when he had hair. This is when he lost his hair, actually.
No, but you can look at it 2 ways. One, this could be just threatening for City. This is going to derail them early on because you look at the stats, at least for with and without De Bruyne, there's obviously going to be worse. He's one of the best midfielders in the world, if not
They score
the
less,
best.
they concede more by not a small margin.
You look with De Bruyne, again, 90 games with De Bruyne, 20 games without is the statistics that people have been looking at. And they average 2.3 goals a game when he is in, average 1.8 when he's out.
And that's a half a goal. That's a crazy number.
And 0.9 average goals conceded with him in the team versus 1.2. So that's a 0.8 goal swing.
Yeah.
Which, that's close to...
Yeah. I mean, that's not good.
And they're obviously less possession.
Your
and
points, you suffer.
And they lack the creative player there. In the 8 games under Guardiola that he hasn't played in, they've won 6 and lost 2. So they have been able to succeed without him, but the question mark is, if he's gone for 2 to 3 to 4 months of the
change
beginning
your
of the season...
style of play dramatically because there's nobody that
Of course-
controls like he does.
Of course, City have the best depth in the league. There's no question about
no
that.
question about that.
They still have a lot of question marks that going to raise without De Bruyne.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the biggest issue for them.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, their midfield is reasonably strong. You have Mahrez coming in at winger. He's not a one-for-one replacement by any means,
But he does offer more depth.
but
and
he
talent.
gives you a lot more depth than you had. Sterling on the other side, fine. The Silva's in the midfield.
We saw De Bruyne
Fernandinho,
play Cam for England. Maybe he plays Cam for... or attacking midfielder, excuse me.
Sterling.
Sterling, is
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
wanted to say. He played attacking midfield for England. He could play a similar role, almost trying to replace De Bruyne in that area. And then you would see Mahrez has a wing role. And then you see City just a ridiculous depth.
Yeah. No, well, this actually, maybe this is what unlocks, what's his name? The two fronts,
Jesus and Aguero.
Jesus and Aguero together. I mean, I don't know, they're ridiculous.
They
Absolutely
have-
ridiculous in depth.
Of course, you'd love to have De Bruyne. They're better suited to lose a player of his caliber than anybody else.
Yeah, no, nobody else could suffer a player of his. Like I'm player of the year.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He's not going to be player of the year now
Second
because
week.
he's missing.
That didn't get posted. We have it. It's just hanging up.
That is true.
All right, 3 matches for this coming week. Why the hell are you choosing Cardiff Newcastle? This is a geography lesson, if nothing else. Not a great slate of matches this
Oh,
weekend,
yeah,
but this is about as fun.
You're not inspired to wake up at 8:30 in the morning to get some of your
7:30.
7:30 in the morning to get some of your Newcastle, Cardiff. 2 teams are going to be battling at the bottom.
Yeah, I think Newcastle will do better, but Cardiff certainly is we have them as absolute solid guard.
I have those 2 teams both getting relegated.
Yeah, I've got one for sure. But this is about as far as you can go in a Premier League match.
5.5 hours if you can.
320 miles from all the way up in northeast of England down to Wales, which is in another country in the United Kingdom. The only farther trip would be to we got Brighton, Southampton, and Bournemouth. Bournemouth, I think, is 550 miles. Southampton and Brighton slightly less. But it's still a trek to London.
Oh, yeah.
But anyhow, but it's in the United States. It's like going from Chicago to Cleveland.
Not even half the country.
Like a quarter of the way across the country. So
If
geographically,
that. I mean, look at that. The map. It's.
I've got Newcastle taking it 1-0.
I have a draw 1-1. I think that it's going to be. I have both of these teams getting relegated. It could be these kind of points that separate one of the teams.
Yeah.
It's if you can nick a few points off the top guys, and if you're able to
Just dominate the bottom.
beat out the guys who you're going to be competing against, because
That's why I have Newcastle winning here, because I think they're going to be clear. I don't think Cardiff City will be clear. But Leicester Wolves in the second match slot on Saturday. Another geography lesson. These guys are only 60 miles apart. There's a battle in the Midlands, if you will. Leicester's down a couple of people. There's already people calling for Claude Puel's head. Okazaki not in. Matty James probably not going to play anyways, even if they are healthy. But just not a lot of excitement heading into this match for me. I love watching Wolves play. I think they're such a great story.
They're repping the kit.
Got the kit from probably the last time they were in the Premier League. We collect kits, so that's what we're going to be dressing in as we run through this whole thing. But again, that midfield that Wolves have is really, really exciting.
And I think the big thing about them is you look at atmospheres on the club. We mentioned it with Arsenal that they don't have the fans behind them necessarily. But Wolves, they have even neutral fans excited for them because they came from the Championship. A lot of people were excited about the talent they have, especially Ruben Neves. He's going to be a guy who, year or two, you could see moving to a huge team. Jean Moutinho, he's an older guy, but he's a great player. They had a couple great Portuguese players.
Saved their bacon, and then Jimenez came in and scored the winner.
The one thing, before we look at the predictions, the one thing you could look at against Wolves is that they are a subjective Jagielka red card away from possibly losing that game. Because think about it. How big a flip was that when Jagielka got sent off, straight red card, and on the very ensuing free kick, they were losing 1-0 at the time. Neves blasts it home.
Even if he doesn't get carded, he's still going to put that home.
Oh, yeah. And then 1-1 there, and then they end up drawing the match 2-2 against Everton, who I think that's a good result for if you are a newly promoted team and you draw against Everton, there should be a lot more talk about that.
One interesting thing about this game, the last two times these two teams played, this is courtesy of PremierLeague.com, they played in the Premier League. It was 2004. They played at the KP, and it was a goalless draw. And on that day, both teams were relegated.
Better chances today. Second game of the season, more
It's too early in the season to get relegated. But we have neither of these teams getting relegated. They're much better than they were 14 years ago. We've both got it to Wolves. I'm 2-1. Jack a little bit more favorable to Wolves, 2-0. And then the matchup of the weekend, Chelsea-Arsenal. Again, there's a lot of questions in this match. You got two new managers trying to get their philosophies installed. I think Sarri is maybe a little bit further ahead than Emery.
I would also say that maybe on the other end, because I think Sarri, the way he wants to play his side is interesting, because I saw a quote from him. He said it will take his players a couple months to get used to his style of play.
It's very much like how Klopp plays, just a counter-attacking, fast-moving, dominate.
And they have enough talent to compete right away, and it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to immediately make the adjustment. And Emery, I mean, you didn't see a ton in that first game. It just didn't look very good.
A lot of confusion. Not a lot of identity, not a lot of
identity at all.
And defensively weak. Petr Cech, we get into this now, but it's like they've got challenges at who to start at left back, who to start between the sticks. Lichtsteiner at 34. Sometimes I wonder if Arsenal's Twitter feed is parodying itself.
It's so confusing. They have a tweet where it says, Lichtsteiner's a 34-year-old, oldest player to make a debut for Arsenal. How do you rate his debut?
And then down below, 2-0 loss.
2-0 loss.
And it's like, I don't...
How he came off the bench, not his 100% fault that they conceded the 2 goals. And he's going to be an older veteran player, but... And then you look at the next slide, you have the goalkeeper question mark. You spend this money on Leno, why aren't you starting him? you look at Chelsea, they're throwing Kepa in there.
I keep getting him confused with Kepa, and I was like, well, because they got him on transfer deadline day. Oh, no, that was the other guy.
Kepa's being thrown in there. Got thrown in against Huddersfield. He's going to get thrown in against Arsenal versus Leno. Had all of preseason, but they're going to give it to Czech. He played well, I would say. He didn't play terribly against City.
Almost scored.
That was
into his own
crazy.
goal.
I mean, that was just an interesting point.
So I don't know who they're a bit of a mess. They've got a couple selection nightmares. I don't like either of those left back options. Monreal probably a better option for them right now.
He's a natural left back.
Yeah, Lichtsteiner playing out of position. I don't know. I'm calling it a draw. I don't think either of these two teams are going to distinguish themselves here. Arsenal need a point because they're going to go 2 matches and get nothing out of it if the scoreline goes the way you think it's going to go. But
I think that it's going to be. I think Chelsea have this game. I think that they're at home, that they have that advantage. If Hazard plays, if Kepa, who played well against Huddersfield, if he continues to do as well as he did, and if Arsenal, I don't see them changing that drastically in a week. I think that it's going to be, if they lose this game, it's going to be really interesting to see how the viewpoint on them shifts. If you have 0 points from your first 2 games, that's just not good at all for Champions League football.
Yeah, that's why I've got them getting a point, because I think with Aubameyang and Lacazette and Ozil, they're gonna get 2 goals.
See, and that's the thing with, they have some of the best attackers in the league. I mean, Ozil was absent pretty much against City. Mkhitaryan, you want more from him. Lacazette, Aubameyang. I mean, theoretically, let's say that they do. I have the last season's table up. If they do lose 2 of their first games, 4th place Liverpool lost 5 games over the entire 38-game season. Spurs and United both lost 7, and City obviously lost 2 the entire year. So then you wonder, if you lose your opening 2 games, you were already
no margin for error.
No margin for error at that point, and then you have the press and your fans breathing down your neck. This is as close to a must-win second game of the season that there is for Arsenal.
And it's tough at Stamford Bridge. I mean, that's not an easy place to go play.
It's not an easy place to go.
It's an early season London derby with a lot at stake. And it sounds ridiculous in week 2, but it is. I agree with you. I mean, I hadn't thought about the total win, like the win-loss total at the end of the season.
I mean, that would mean that you would assume that Liverpool had a lot of draws.
They drew a lot. Yeah.
So we'll say 7 losses is the maximum you can have for top 4. Then you have 5 left over 36 games. That means you're going to be up there with some of the best teams in the league. You're going to be up there close
31 and 5.
You're going to be up there close to those big teams up there. And it's going to be tough for Arsenal. They
got to get a point out of this, or they're in some trouble.
100%.
All right, that's it for our Week 2 preview. Brief Week 1 review. Give us a like, some comments. Please subscribe. For Jack, this is Conrad. As always, the 45. Take care. Have a good evening. Have a good morning. Have a good day. Thank you.